So now you guys know James Comey was the director of the FBI. Donald Trump fired him and later made a terrible mistake by admitting on national TV that he fired him because of his Russian investigation. That right there could be obstruction of justice. But we have a new twist in the story, and this one is monumentally important. So it turns out James Comey had a habit of taking memos immediately after all important meetings, especially obviously with the president. So he'd been doing this all the way back when he worked for the Bush administration, and he had taken some memos on what they wanted him to do on warrantless wiretapping, which he didn't want to authorize. And when the Bush administration challenged them on it, they got those memos, and Robert Mueller, then the head of the FBI, also had taken a memo, and it corroborated what Comey was saying. So that was how he won that battle. So now we find out Comey's got a memo about a meeting that he had with Donald Trump on February 14th, where he basically asked him to drop the Mike Flynn investigation. Uh-oh, that's obstruction of justice. So let me back up a little bit here and give you a tiny bit more context. Now, the famous dinner that Comey and Trump had was on January 27th. That's where he asked for the loyalty pledge from James Comey, and Comey wouldn't give it. Now, that was one day after Trump found out that the FBI was investigating Mike Flynn and was about to have a conversation with him about his calls with the Russian ambassador. So a day after he finds out there's a Flynn investigation, Trump then asks Comey to come to dinner and tells him to promise him loyalty and to stop the Russian investigations. Okay, so then on February 14th, he has a national security meeting. At the end of the meeting, he asks everybody to leave except James Comey, asks him to stay. Now that is one day after Mike Flynn had been let go, because it turns out he did call the Russian ambassador and did talk to him about sanctions and had lied about it. So again, Trump, one day after the latest revelations about Mike Flynn, panics, has Comey in, and apparently, according to James Comey's memo at the time, not now, he wrote the memo at the time, Trump said, "I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He's a good guy. I hope you can let this go." That is asking the FBI director to drop an active investigation on someone who was his national security advisor. It's obvious that Mike Flynn knows something very, very important about Trump's connections to Russia. According to White House officials, Donald Trump has been trying to reach Mike Flynn ever since he was fired. And everybody keeps telling him, you're not allowed to call Mike Flynn because that would be witness tampering. He's a witness in your possible collusion case with Russia, and he's under investigation. You can't talk to him. He desperately wants to talk to Flynn. He desperately wants to end the Flynn investigation, and apparently he asked the FBI director. Now, Comey apparently has memos of every meeting and phone call he had with Donald Trump that he recorded at the time and made sure that it was put into the record at the time, okay? He did not share it with the people investigating Trump on Russia because he didn't want to influence that investigation. But he kept it just in case in the records, just so that if a situation like this came up, they would know that he didn't say it afterwards. He didn't say it after he was fired. He actually had written that memo at the time. Now, Jason Chaffetz, who's one of the persons who's supposed to investigate Donald Trump, in the House, he's a Republican and he'd been reluctant to do that, just said, I've got my subpoena pen ready, saying that if that memo exists, as the New York Times is reporting today, I'm going to subpoena it and I'm going to find out what's on it, and we're going to find out if Comey actually did say that at the time, because that is a massive legal problem for Donald Trump. And the other big problem is one that he brought about, which is that he said, oh, Comey better, hope that there aren't tapes of our conversations. Does that mean that Trump was taping? As we told you on the show yesterday, Trump has a habit of taping conversations that goes back decades, and everybody knows this. If he was taping those Comey meetings, and it turns out Comey's right about what Trump said in those meetings, well, he's toast. Obstruction of justice, and he's got to go. And now at the same time, Roger Stone going out there and putting out a theory, very connected to Trump, that Trump might have Alzheimer's. No one in the press was saying that until Roger Stone, confidant of Trump, put that in there. And he said, now some people are saying he's insane. Nobody said that until you brought it up. Is that setting up a legal defense for Donald Trump because they know he's toast? I don't know, but the Comey memo is deeply, deeply problematic for Donald Trump, and this thing could be over a lot quicker than we anticipated. So he's on the ropes. I know that people think he can get out of anything. I don't think that's the case at all. I think he's incompetent. I think that he keeps damaging his own chances by admitting things he shouldn't admit. And I think that kind of incompetence is going to be exposed, and he's in a world of trouble. Mike Pence, you better get ready, son.